We are here talking about the 15 best and 10 worst free agent signings according to us. This is just completely opinionated lists. I put this together based off of whether it's the best or the worst team needs, how good or bad that contract really is. Also, this includes not just signings, but trades as well. I didn't put anything in here like, oh, they didn't retain this person. So that's the number one worst thing is they couldn't retain XYZ person. Doesn't make any sense. I did put, I think, one or two retention people on here for best because of the contract, because I expected a little bit more. But besides the point, let's go ahead and start off with the best, end off with the worst, because I want to start the podcast off a little bit hot. I'm going to go ahead and start with number 15, which was, in my opinion, when it comes to the free agency market, I feel like there wasn't a ton of record-setting deals when we look at a lot of people being signed. Maybe the tradings and then the extensions a little bit. The one person who definitely exceeded and maybe they overpaid a little bit for a certain position is Tyler Linderbaum being signed to the Raiders. I put this at 15, not because of who he is or team needs, purely because of the contract. Originally, I had this in the top 5, but when I took a step back and I realized $27 million per year, it represents a 50% increase over Creed Humphrey's previous market-setting annual value. That's insane. We're talking about a huge increase. He's an incredibly talented player. The Raiders need that type of pass protection for a player that's going to come in for Fernando Mendoza. They're going to need a player that's going to fit into the run zone scheme. Overpaying a little bit, resetting the market completely. It's a little jarring. So that's why I put him at 15.
Spoiler alert on the Fernando Mendoza talk, bro. Relax. Don't they're gonna take that and trade it all for picks? Come on, bro.
Yeah, they're gonna go get Lamar Jackson. If you remember our previous talk,
that's the word on the street.
Right?
Not my streets, but the word on the street.
Yeah.
If you've watched any of our podcasts, I absolutely hate big money contracts to interior offensive linemen. Not a big fan of them at all. And to be able to go out and get the best interior offensive lineman on the market, not the one best in the league, but just on the market, and then make him the highest paid interior offensive lineman of any player ever. To me, I know that you got a young rookie quarterback coming in, but it's just, we can find players that are going to start and be long-term solutions at these positions in the draft at replacement level money. And if this was just a marginal raise over the next highest paid center, I would be like, okay, like it is what it is. You want to protect
Which happens all the time, right? With pass rushers, it's like half. It's like
Absolutely.
a $1 million increase year over year compared from one to the next, just to be able to set the record is all they want to do. This is a huge increase, though.
And it's on the best, right? Don't come at us, Raiders fans. It's on the list of best. And if you told me, matter of fact, we mocked all these free agent signings, and I had Tyler Linderbaum going to the Raiders, which I thought was a great idea for them, but just the money is why it's not higher on the list. But ultimately, it's not my money. And there's a rumor floating out there that Mark Davis is looking to get his secession plan in place with a minority owner of theirs that's recently come on. And maybe this is a sign of things to come for the franchise out in Las Vegas, that they're going to be big spenders moving forward in NFL free agency. So that should be a exciting thing for Raiders fans to contemplate.
And they're on here a couple more times on our list. Their free agency so far feels kind of akin to button mashing and fighting games. You're just kind of throwing it all out there and seeing what works. The signings that they made, for the most part, have been good. For the most part, they are on the good list, except for one specifically that I think needs to be pointed out, which we'll get to that later in the episode. But Tyler Linderbaum, still a good signing. It's just way, way, way overpaying for that market value. At the number 14 spot, cheated a little bit, combined a couple of signings or acquisitions into one. And I just put Robert Saleh reuniting with former players overall on the Tennessee Titans, specifically trading for Jermaine Johnson and also acquiring John Franklin Myers as well. Both those guys have had some of their best seasons with Robert Saleh. Obviously, we have seen what Robert Saleh can do. You have seen what Robert Saleh can do week in and week out, especially with the amount of injuries that the 49ers had last year and what he could pull out with that defense. They signed a ton of guys. Reuniting these two players with him for pass rush help was probably their best acquisitions. They are also on the list one more time as well, spoiler alert, but it's not for the best signings. Again, some more button mashing from people who have a ton of money. This, I think, was their best acquisition, though. Getting those two pass rushers who have had their best years with a guy who can turn mediocre into next level stars. I think that's what we're looking at again.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Robert Saleh was the best acquisition of them for their franchise. Obviously, I'm a big Saleh fan. No surprise there. But significant depth amongst that defensive line is something that's always going to be important to them. They made a trade with your team to bring in Solomon Thomas. They signed Jordan Elliott, who has played a ton of snaps for the 49ers over the past couple of years. They bring him in. They're not on the good signing list the rest of the way. Fair, is that to say? So I can bring up Wan'Dale Robinson, or do I not want to bring up Wan'Dale Robinson?
You can bring up Wan'Dale Robinson.
Okay, perfect.
He's not on the other side either.
All right, I just wanted
very close, but he just missed it.
I just wanted to make sure. I mean, I figured I'm looking at it, but ultimately, he's a talented wide receiver. Taking out of the money just for this conversation, like Cam Ward, he needs just talent surrounding him. He needs whatever he can get. So to bring in another talented wide receiver just to give him an option for someone to throw to, I imagine that they are going to be fairly active within the first couple of rounds to bring even more talent to that offensive side of the football, because they spent a lot of free agency beefing up the defensive side of football. So I'm actually kind of excited for them. This isn't one of those every year one of these teams goes from fourth in the division to winning the division, making the playoffs. I don't have the Tennessee Titans predicted for that, but I expect them to have a year and at least look like an NFL football team. There was too many teams last year where it was just like you look around at the rosters and you're just like, this is not an NFL roster. And that is something that's going to change for them this upcoming season.
Especially when you look at the division as a whole, right? I mean, questions with the Texans, can the Jaguars run it back again? Questions with the Colts and Daniel Jones, who, spoiler alert, is not on either one of the lists, left him off completely. There's a lot of questions in that division as a whole. I wouldn't say it's completely up for grabs. I would say it's a very middle of the pack division, might be semi-competitive with each other. Outside of that, though, it is up for them to potentially move up to third, to second. They can move up in this division very easily, I think. Yeah, absolutely.
You didn't put the Colt. You didn't have Daniel Jones on the list, huh?
No, I didn't, because I felt very conflicted about it.
Let me ask you this: if I say the money combined to both the wide receiver and the quarterback over the next couple of years, does that sway you a little bit, thinking about the amount of dollars invested there?
The Colts are on the list. They're just,
Okay.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones isn't on the list.
Daniel
Okay.
Jones isn't on the list. Colts are definitely on the list. Yeah.
Perfect.
Moving on to number 13. This one's super bland, super mellow. I did put them on the list because it is just retaining. The Raiders retaining cornerback Eric Stokes. 3-year deal, $30 million, $10 million year over year. That's a great value for him, for a guy who market value was supposed to be in the $16 to $17 million range, which we saw a lot of corners get that type of range money this year, who are of that same quality, if not a little bit less quality than Eric Stokes had last year. So he deserves that contract. I think he probably deserved a little bit more, but clearly he wanted to stay with Las Vegas. So I put them at 13. Again, bland because it's just a retention pick or retention signing, but he does deserve it to be on this list.
I think that this re-signing for the Raiders was actually important. Eric Stokes arrived there with not much fanfare, has a career year by a lot of metrics, whether you're a PFF guy or you're just looking at the stats guy. He had a really good year, and now they've rewarded that player for having a good year. I think that's important for them as a franchise, as they're going to be trying to, I imagine, with bringing in a first round, a number 1 overall pick quarterback, probably looking to bring in new ownership in the next couple of years. It's going to be important for them to re-establish themselves as a franchise that does things the right way. And ultimately, if the Raiders return to glory and they go deep into playoff series and they're hosting playoff games in Las Vegas, that's just good for the NFL overall. And so it's something as fans of the NFL, we do want to see. So while it's an under market return in terms of dollar and positional value, when you bring a player in and he shows out and has a good year, rewarding them with more money in a contract, I think that is something that is important for the Las Vegas Raiders to be showing they're willing to do.
Yeah, building a certain culture with new players is what the Raiders have needed to do. They've had a carousel of coaches come in and out. Hopefully, this Clint Kubiak is the answer for everyone, and building a new culture with not only the coaches and the players, but the front office and the players is going to be absolutely essential to them moving forward to have any sort of success.
Yeah, plus you predicted him in the Long Lost podcast episode that he was going to re-sign with them. So we always like to give ourselves a pat on the back.
We get some stuff right every once in a while, but it feels good when we do. Hey, you can bat 400 times, but if you hit 4 home runs, those home runs feel pretty good.
Hey, you know what, bro? If you get it right 331% of the time, you bat 313, you're going to the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
So I'll take
exactly. A lot of baseball references in the podcast already.
I apologize, but I'm going to ride the Micah Parsons to Green Bay thing for like the next 3 years. So I'm going to just keep.
That's one of the biggest trades we've seen since starting the podcast, though. And you already predicted it before it even happened. So, I mean, it makes sense.
Which is why we started the podcast for things like that. So
exactly.
Did you feel a little bit of like, don't have like a young quarterback breaking the NFL record for highest paid whatever, or a young edge rusher or a young wide receiver? Like, did it feel a little empty this year that there wasn't like one of these milestone extensions, or we don't see that type of movement in free agent signing, but generally speaking, there's always that huge. Does it feel just a little bit empty this year just because that didn't happen? I mean, we had the opposite. We had massive cap hits in Kyler Murray and Mr. Tua. I won't try to say his last name on this podcast. Tagovailoa. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Massive cap hits, but not these massive extensions. It just made free agency this year feel a little. But I think that also kind of speaks to the talent in the draft. The teams aren't going as crazy because they know what's sitting in front of them this year. So
I didn't think there was a lot of overpaying for free agency. Even if we go down the list of the worst signings once we get around to it at the end of the podcast, there's a couple that I do think definitely were overpaid, but I think there's about half my list where I go, what's the plan here with this person? What was the point of bringing them into this situation is definitely the questions I have. Obviously, we talked about Tyler Linderbaum at the top, and I brought up how we did have a bunch of resetting of the market type deals. The center position was one of those ones, but outside of that, yeah, when it comes to the skill position players, the edge rushers, the wide receivers, the quarterbacks, there wasn't a whole lot going on. Even Kenneth Walker, he's at 4th, I think, for money right now. 3rd, he's somewhere around that ballpark range. So I feel like that could have been a record-setting deal, and he didn't either.
I didn't bring up the Tyler thing just because I don't think he reset the interior offensive line market. I think if the next guy comes up is like, I want Tyler money, the team's just going to say, see you later. Like, you could test out free agency. He didn't.
Someone else can do that for you.
Yeah, he didn't set the floor here for future signings like these wide receiver and edge rushers normally do. And I'm glad you brought up my boy Kenneth Walker, because I can tell you what, out of all the moves in free agency this year, that is the one that for myself is inspiring a lot of fear. So,
yep. We'll get to it. Moving on to number 12. This is going to be the last Raiders one on the best list, and this is the Bills trading Taron Johnson to the Raiders. They traded Taron Johnson and a 7th round pick for the Bills receiving a 6th round pick in this next year draft. Didn't really give up a lot, and the big reason for that is he had a down year last year, which totally understand, but Taron Johnson has been one of the better slot corners in the league for the past 4 years. They didn't have to give up a lot for him. They were able to do good stuff with Eric Stokes. If they can do good stuff with Taron Johnson and get him to a point where he is quality again without having to re-spend the money to go get a premium corner out there, I think it's a great trade. So again, because of the down year and the unsure of how Taron Johnson's going to play, they're at 12, but I think it's a good move by the Raiders regardless.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about Eric Stokes. You trade for a guy that was going to be released anyway, so credit to the Bills for getting a little draft capital out of him. Cap hits of 8 million and 10 million over the next couple of years are easily doable for a team that has a ton of cap space. The cap is going up, and if he doesn't live up to it, then you just cut him, and you didn't lose like anything significant in terms of draft capital anyway. There's only a
Especially when
few
you have a rookie
teams.
quarterback and not a quarterback on a massive deal. The
Yeah,
money's good for the future.
there's only a few teams out there that can find superstars in the 7th round, and I don't think the Las Vegas Raiders are one of them. So flopping, I think was it a 6th and a 7th that they swapped?
Yep. They sent
So,
Taron in a 7th and they sent back a 6th.
but this is again just going back to them. I'm not trying to glaze the Raiders too much because as a 49er fan, I was born to hate the Raiders. It's just I'm not going to be like, this is a move that winning franchises do. But when you want to improve your team and you're able to improve them on the margins, like the 49ers have done this for years. They bring in these underrated signings that end up having big time impact for them. And this is the type of move that helps a team get better and take the next step forward. Again, I'm not trying to act like this wide receiver, this corner who hasn't had a good year since 2023 is the end all be all of problems, but it should just show Raiders fans that whether it's Tom Brady, whatever's going on down there in Las Vegas, whoever's running the show, they have their head on straight and they're making smart moves. And that's not something we could have said about them in previous years.
Absolutely. Moving off of the Raiders, we can finally stop talking about them. Moving on to number 11, I have Rico Dowdle signing with the Steelers. 2-year deal, $12.25 million. For a team that doesn't have a solidified running back, consistent running back in their backfield, I think getting Dowdle, who has had back-to-back 1,000-yard years, is fantastic for them, establishing a run game for whoever is going to be the quarterback, whether Aaron Rodgers is coming back or you draft someone later rounds or you have who's the one kid that they have out there? They have someone that they're looking at
Steelers
potentially. Yeah. I forgot his name.
on the roster,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Jaylen Warren. Is that what
No,
you're talking about?
no, quarterback, whoever is going to be starting for him. I know there's someone that there's certain
Oh,
people.
it's
Will
going to be
Howard?
Aaron, bro.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, the rookie? Not
Will Howard,
obviously not
yeah.
rookie. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, so
Will
I know some
Howard.
people are looking for that one as well. But just to get someone who's solidified, too, like I said, back-to-back 1,000-yard years. He's been decent on a couple separate teams now, showing production. I think it's a
That
good
dude
signing.
that dude has a cult following. I swear to you, like if he starts for them at quarterback and is like even decently good, he's going to be like top 10 on the jersey list next year. Like I
Probably.
like just some of the podcasts I've been listening to lately, everybody's talking about Aaron Rodgers right now, and they just keep bringing this dude up. Like, I'm just like, all right, hey man, like, I scout the draft, especially with quarterbacks. I'm not a scout. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I watch a lot of stuff when it comes to the quarterbacks, and if you think that guy's the answer, I hope so. I love me a Brock Purdy story. So,
You never go wrong
how,
with it.
how many more times are the Steelers on your list? Because I don't want to step over a couple other signings, but they did a couple things this offseason that I really, really loved.
Take it away.
Jaquan Brisker, I feel like that's excellent value at safety. That dude, my guy, Asante Samuel. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yep.
wait, hold on. I apologize. Asante Samuel Jr., not not his father. And then to go over to the Indianapolis Colts and get their hands on Michael Pittman. I just think that
And
a
they signed
lot
Jamil
of
Dean, too.
that's good. Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
So and I mean, I feel like Jamil Dean, when I was looking at him, I thought he was going to sign like a 2-year 30. And I think they got him for like 3 years and like 37 or something like that. So good value there in terms of what was expected.
He
So
definitely got way under the market value. Yes,
yeah.
100%.
So everything they did. Now, obviously, if you run in with an unproven quarterback, all of this can be kind of moot. But there's still a Kirk Cousins out there. There's still a Mac Jones trade potential. Mac Jones feels like a Pittsburgh Steeler. I'm just going to throw that out there. I hope they don't trade him because Brock Purdy's bound to get hurt again and miss a couple games. But yeah, I mean, shout out to the Steelers. It sucks when you have a questionable question at quarterback, which is the most important position on the roster. But they bolstered up the team this offseason for sure.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, there's a ton of quarterback solid. Yeah. Kirk Cousins, obviously Aaron Rodgers is still up in there for them. Joe Flacco still wants to start somewhere. He's already put it out. He wants to start in a place. It could be it. So that might be the backup to the backup to the backup plan. Whether there's a guy who's gonna be sitting on his couch waiting to come off of it. I mean, if Philip Rivers can come off of his couch and stop taking care of the 17 kids, Joe Flacco's ready to go still. So I'd much rather have him than Rivers.
Hey, for the older generation, Grandpa Phil has replaced Uncle Phil. So, I mean, he got out there with his, I don't think it's a beer belly. I don't know exactly what it is, but he was slinging it. He had me nervous for about a quarter before I realized he couldn't throw more than 15 yards down the field. But
Yep.
yeah.
Right.
Hey, did you see Tom Brady at
I was, dude, get out of my head. I was about to say the same thing. Exactly. Right.
Just saying to his boy, I think it was, oh, maybe it was Joe Burrow that threw the touchdown to DeAndre Hopkins, still
Yeah.
unsigned. Maybe he
Yeah.
threw the touchdown to Stephon Diggs. Maybe that's who he
Yeah.
threw it to. Still unsigned.
Yep.
So
Exactly. Moving on to number 10, though, despite losing a lot of free agents, they still brought in a guy that allows their slot corner to still play slot and their number one to still stay the number one. To get a number 2 corner in Tariq Woolen on a 1-year, $15 million deal slots in at my number 10 spot for the Eagles. Tariq Woolen is quality number 2. Signing him on a 1-year deal is clearly a prove-it deal for Tariq Woolen. I thought he was going to get a multi-year deal. Obviously, with the intangibles that he has, how good he has been. Quinton Mobay is still open or closed, I guess, for all wide receivers at that number one spot. Cooper DeJean sitting there in the slot still allows him to stay in the spot was clearly the priority for the Eagles. So having Tariq Woolen in there as the 2 is fantastic.
yeah, I
And 15
mean,
million isn't that much for who he is.
no, I mean, I had Tariq Woolen getting a 3-year 45. So 1 year 15, all you did was save yourself some cap hits down the road. So I actually don't hate that. Signed a edge rusher. I'm not going to try to say his last name either. So again, this is what I was just talking about with the Raiders. This is a signing on the margins, allows Cooper DeJean to stay flexible, Quinyon to do his thing, and ultimately, when you have that much talent in the secondary, it just makes everybody else look better. So it wouldn't surprise me if he had a pretty good statistical year. He seems to be pretty boom or bust as it is to begin with. So maybe he gets the Trayvon Diggs situation where people are just trying to pick on him, and he ends up picking them right back and showing out on the accounting stats this year. So good signing for the Eagles, unfortunately.
I agree, unfortunately. Luckily, they're the only ones on the list. Moving to one of 2 moves that the 49ers are going to go ahead and be on, and that's acquiring Mike Evans. 3 years, $60.4 million. The first reported deal was 60.3 packed. That's the maximum value deal. It's mainly with incentives. It's only 16.3 million guaranteed. It's purely upside, I feel like, for the 49ers. You're only guaranteeing a wide receiver that could be extremely good in terms of 1,000-yard season, is potentially on the cusp. I know he's aging. I know there's injury problems. I like the signing, again, especially when we're talking about it's primarily incentive-based with the minimal guarantees. But you're the Niners fan, so you tell me how you feel about it.
Cap hits of 4.25 and 26, 7.3 and 27, and 9.7 in 2028. So 3 years of Mike Evans. This is a 49ers thing. It really reads like a 1-year deal. And when you look at how it's structured and everything like that. But I'm super excited about it. The 49ers have never really had a contested catch guy like this. Brock Purdy's never had a contested catch guy like this. Deebo Samuel wasn't that. Brandon Ayuk wasn't that. So when you bring him in and you look at taking Ricky Pearsall and making him your second, I guess depends on how you feel about Christian Kirk, third wide receiver, right? I thought it was great value for the money. It's a future Hall of Famer, no doubt. And he was offered more money to stay home with the Buccaneers, and he decided to come on out. Now, the thing about Mike Evans, I will put a small little, I always red flag my 49ers for things. Mike Evans is used to being forced fed targets. force. There's been a lot of smoke about us trying to trade for Justin Jefferson, and you have to force that dude targets. I don't think Brock Purdy is afraid to force targets. He'll sling it out there a la Brett Favre, like the best of them, right? But that's
Right.
really not the Kyle Shanahan offense. So it's just going to be interesting to see what they do this year. I don't know if Mike Evans, when he puts up a stat line where he has a touchdown, 63 yards on 4 targets, I don't know how much he's going to love that. But hopefully Kyle's willing to deviate just a little bit, because I would just love to see Mike Evans have another 1,000-yard year in the red and gold.
It gives you guys just a little bit more oomph, right? And we'll talk about the other acquisition a little bit later on.
Sorry.
It, you're good. It gives you a little bit of oomph that you need in your offense, right? With how injured your defense was last year, having that healthy is going to be incredibly important. You guys are already a contender as it is, no matter what, because of your coach. Just giving you a little bit more push, I don't think is the worst thing. Whether it's only a 1-year thing or it's a 2-year thing, I guess that does kind of completely depend on how well he's playing and then just kind of the feeling in the locker room overall. Because I feel like that's a guy who can, and I feel like this gives the wrong impression, but force himself out isn't probably the right words to use, but doing it in like almost a respectful way, not like a diva way, because it's like, hey, I just don't, like you said, I'm not getting the targets I want. I don't really want to be here anymore. Can we mutually type part ways type situation? Or he may just kind of be like, oh, I'm done. I'm over with it.
Well, I can tell you, I take in as much 49ers media as possible. And I'm not talking about like the team writers or any of that. I'm talking about guys that are like boots to the ground, that are openly critical of them, podcast. The 49ers have zero appetite for anything diva right now. This
Right.
Brandon Ayuk thing, the Trent Williams thing right now, they have zero appetite for it. And they let Debo Samuel do his thing and they gave him his contract. They let Brandon Ayuk do his thing and they gave him his contract. They are not putting up for this. They are not putting up with this stuff moving forward. So even if it costs them a player, not that I'm saying Mike Evans is going to be that. It's just they're very, very serious about the careers of Fred Warner, Trent Williams, George Kittle. These coming to an end, and not an end tomorrow, but obviously their window is closing. And so they're very serious about trying to compete the next year or two. So hopefully Mike Evans is a big part of that. Big part of that.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on to the number 8 spot, I have the Bengals signing Brian Cook, safety, 3-year deal, 40.25 million. After ranking as one of the league's worst defenses, the Cincinnati Bengals, they need to go after some sort of talent on the defensive side of the ball. And we've talked about them doing this offseason over offseason over offseason. They finally land someone who, depending on how you feel about PFF, 83.5 grade at PFF, 4th ranked among all safeties. He can play in the box, play deep center field. Do you know what Brian Cook kind of reminds me of? It's who Dax Hill was supposed to be for them and didn't end up working out to be. So bring in a guy that you really wanted, a safety to be able to move around continuously, being able to play anywhere. Bring him in on a pretty good deal, was one of the best safeties in the league last year. I think it's a great deal for them, especially again, starting safeties were ranked 57th and 72nd last year. You can't go wrong signing a guy who was 4th.
Yeah, generally speaking, safety and high level NFL contracts, I'm going to have the same feeling on those as I do interior offensive linemen.
Yeah.
But when your defense, and I make these comments from a team that has a quarterback on a max contract, an edge rusher on a max contract, a tight end, a middle linebacker. Like my team can't pay money at the safety position or the interior offensive line position. The Bengals defense has been so damn bad that I've predicted 2 years in a row that Joe Burrow would be the MVP of the NFL, just because he was going to have to throw so many yards and so many touchdowns for them to win games. I just thought it would be inevitable. And he has been exactly that when he's been able to play, because their defense has been so bad. So they had a
Absolutely.
couple other good signings along the defensive line as well. And yeah, good moves for them.
Yeah. It's all going to be about the additions in the draft and how we can look at them as an offseason in whole. in a division that is going to be headed by the Ravens. And that's kind of it, depending on how you feel about the Steelers, because I'll continuously say the Steelers are going to sit below 500 and then somehow they're going to be 10 wins in. I don't know how. But they are headed by the Ravens at the end of the day. If Joe Burrow could stay healthy, they make more additions in the draft, it's still a really good team. It just takes them to the next level. If they can continue to make the additions, that has been the issue.
Hey, make a couple additions in the draft. Lamar gets sent to Las Vegas, and the Bengals are looking like they're ready, bro.
That's right. It's wide open. They're gonna win it. That's it. They get in. If no matter what, I mean that kind of opens the door for if Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs get back into the playoffs, they basically lose. So then that can open the window for the Bills to get in there a little bit because they can't beat the Chiefs for some reason. So
I'm actually pretty excited for the schedule prediction that we do every year, just because it seems like it's wide open. I know the Seahawks looked unbeatable last year, but they didn't add anything and they lost a bunch, which happens with Super
lost
Bowl teams. Obviously,
a lot
everybody
of
wants to
big
go out and get
pieces.
paid. And it just seems like it's wide open in the NFC. It seems like it's wide open in the AFC. It's going to be an exciting year for certain.
Absolutely. And a ton of teams had a lot of cap space and they are spending the money. So it'll be kind of exciting in a couple of months to see how we look back at it and feel about it in June, in July, in August. How do we feel about these teams now moving forward? Obviously, training camps and the whispers and the injuries then that come with that, unfortunately, it'll be fun. I mean, it always is regardless, but moving into the number 7 spot.
Is it? Mr.
Yeah,
Cowboys fan, is it always fun?
it's always the off season is the most exciting time because then I don't have to watch them play football.
Sure.
There's that. I do have to listen to Jerry Jones talk, and that is the unfortunate part. But yeah, I digress. They'll be on the list. Hey, just way later on. At number 7, I have another safety, and that's the Jets acquiring and then extending Minkah Fitzpatrick, 3-year, $40 million deal. All they had to do was give up a 7th-round pick for a team that quite literally had no turnovers last year to bring in a talent of Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's been moved around a lot. He is a good, talented player. It'd be interesting to see how he kind of fits in with Aaron Glenn's defense, but they need some sort of additional talent on that team to be able to get some sort of turnovers. 0 an entire year is insane. Only having to give up a 7th for him, I literally have no issues with that. I like it a lot.
Hey, man, like, again, I'm not a big safety guy, but he just had the second highest graded year of his career. And anytime you compare him with a shutdown corner like Sauce and an all-pro defensive tackle like, oh, wait a minute. I guess he is kind of out there on his own now, isn't he?
Yeah.
Well, they need someone to wear the C on defense, right? Somebody's got to put that damn thing on, so it might as well be Minkah. I love that dude, honestly, and at least he's getting paid, even if he's not going to win very many games the next couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're like, damn, does this dude not know that Sauce Gardner got traded? What's he talking about?
For a second, I was just like, oh, yeah. I was going to let you continue to see how long it went for, and then I was going to stop you. It's like, okay, let's go and cut the last couple seconds out of the podcast. We usually don't do it, but let's cut that part.
Hey, shit, if you think about that, man, Quinnen Williams, Sauce Gardner, Minkah Fitzpatrick, start to see something there, and then you're just like, yep, I guess not. I guess not.
Yep. Moving on to the number 6 spot, I do have Devin Lloyd signing a 3-year, $45 million deal with the Carolina Panthers. He received second team All-Pro in 2025, primarily of how well he did in coverage. He recorded 5 interceptions on the season, tied for second in the league, 7 passes defended. Through the first almost half of the year, he was the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously not how that transpired because Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett, but he was the 3rd best linebacker in the entire league. He has been a good linebacker year over year. He just kind of broke out a little bit this year. Of course, it's a contract year, and the Panthers going out and getting him, I think it's a great move. The necessity of more playmakers on the Panthers defense is there. Derek Brown on the front end of the defense didn't have the year I was hoping he was going to have, but helping a little bit more in coverage for Devin Lloyd is going to let Derek Brown get more coverage sacks, I think.
I'll tell you what, I am super, super high on this signing for them. I know anything good the Panthers do. I wouldn't be surprised if 5 to 10 years I see you rocking that Panthers gear with how much you love them. But
I can't help it.
as high on this signing as I am. I absolutely hate another signing of theirs. So I'm hoping we're going to be talking about that later on our other list. But no,
No, you can talk about it now.
okay. I mean, I felt like they just got great value here. 3 years, 45 million, and they turn around and gave 120 million to Jaylen
Oh,
Phillips, who's only
yeah.
going to play 5 games a season.
The only reason, real quick, the only reason I left that off the list is because I know there's not a ton of guaranteed money in it. At least when I was looking at it, it did not look like there was a ton of guarantees. So that's why I left it off. When you can scale back a little bit.
Here's the thing with Jaylen Phillips. If he plays out all 4 years of this contract because there is not that much guaranteed money, then it was a hell of a signing for them because he's a top 15, 20 edge rusher when he's healthy. When he's healthy. The dude's never healthy.
Big
And
if.
we know that's not his fault. We're not one of those podcasters that hates on players for not being healthy. It just is what it is. But it is a lot of money on paper for a player that doesn't stay healthy. But I love the Devin Lloyd signing. And if both of them can stay healthy, then Panthers look like they're building something out there on the defensive side of the football. Still got questions at the quarterback, but it is what it is.
It's so stupid. I feel like it's going to be a forever thing no matter what. Until that man is not in the league anymore, it's going to be a forever thing that we're going to keep going back to.
What's funny is like I watched his whole high school career. I watched his whole college career. I loved Bryce. And then when he got to the league, and I was just like, damn, that boy's short. But
Right.
that's where we're at.
All right. Top 5. With my 5 spots I have left, I have 2 signings and 3 trades. At my number 5 spot, it is one that we've already hinted and talked about a little bit, and that's Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs. 3 years, 45 million. There's a need, and you go out and you go get it. At the best coming out of the free agent class, you go get the man. And again, you don't reset the market for it. You're getting Patrick Mahomes some help. We talked about it a couple of podcast episodes ago, and you mentioned how, hey, this isn't Patrick Mahomes from a couple of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, where he could just put the entire team on his back. Like, we're years removed. Travis Kelce's corpse is not going to do it anymore. We have to do a little bit
He's
of
back.
something. And Kenneth Walker.
Yeah. Kenneth Walker, I think, is a really good running back. He split carries last year with Charbonnet, which is why part of the reason why he wanted to leave the Seahawks. And despite the fact that he split all those carries, he was still second most in missed tackles, forcing missed tackles, 77. Just a huge high number for someone. Now, you could say, can he stand up to an every down role? But well, we're going to find out. And I think that adding a significant threat at the running back position is going to do a lot to help Patrick Mahomes out. There has been over the years, Isaiah Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, there just has not been. And it's funny because Kansas City's always been known. You got Priest Holmes. They've always been known for their running backs and the way they like to play. And it's been absent for a number of years. And so it does make me nervous because talking about the downfall of Patrick Mahomes, like he's still not a top 5 quarterback talent-wise in this league, is a bit silly on our part. But
Right.
when you add a significant threat at running back, I am very much not excited to see how it plays out for them this year.
I think this also has huge draft implications because of this signing, and the Saints signing of Travis Etienne is not on my list. I almost put it on the worst because it was more of a question mark of what are we doing. It has huge implications because do you know what it's telling me? It's telling me that those teams right there at 8 and 9 do not think Jeremiah Love is going to be there. They don't want to take the risk, and they need a premium position at running back or a premium player at running back, and they don't think Jeremiah Love is going to be there at 8 and 9. That's what it tells me personally.
Jeremiah Love is going to be a Tennessee Titan, my friend. So he's definitely not going to be there at 8 or 9.
It's definitely possible. I mean, you need the help, aging Tony Pollard. It's just, dude,
All right,
I'm
but
watching.
can I just
Good.
throw this out there?
Yeah.
Because this is gonna happen. I'm just gonna throw this out there. Somebody, probably the team that's picking at 5, the New York Giants, they're gonna do something stupid, right? Like they're gonna do something stupid, which is gonna bring a player, like they're gonna draft a linebacker or something, right?
Right.
Uh,
Sonny
Jeremiah
Styles raises his draft stock all the way to 5.
Sonny Styles, yeah, is gonna go at 5. Jeremiah Love goes at 4, right? So 2 players who you're kind of like probably didn't really have on your big board top 10, which
Right.
means that the Kansas City Chiefs are gonna draft Caleb Downs. I'm already ready for that bullshit to happen. So
It's definitely possible. You know, I'm sitting there watching tape for some of the edge rushers that are coming out of the class. Who was I specifically watching while I can talk about it? I was watching Ruben Bain, Akeem, Messendor. I was watching both those guys. Jeremiah Love is just out there doing shit, man. He's out there just doing stuff. I'm like, bro, I'm playing games with my buddies and I'm sitting there and I'm sitting there watching it in between rounds and stuff. And I'm like, man, Jeremiah Love is just out here just doing some wild stuff every single time there's a down played. I'm like, damn, who is that? Damn, what is bro? Someone stop him. What is going on? And so I always like when you're watching for a specific player and someone else pops on that tape. The one I always go back to over and over and over again is watching Jalen Carter pop the year before he was drafted and him still being able to stay inside that upper echelon throughout the entire next college year. It was one of my favorites to always bring up. And they both, who's the other Georgia kid? I was watching him. Other Georgia kid, year before, Jalen Carter just got a big contract, interior defensive lineman. Big dude, super athletic though, and I forget his name, but he's not an every down player. But that's what I was watching, and then Jalen Carter gets drafted the year after. Again, that's my favorite to bring up though.
I am determined to mock the Oregon tight end to the 49ers as often as possible. So much to the point where if he gets drafted before the 49ers, I just click out of the mock draft and I start over. The automatic ones. And
Yeah,
I swear to God, the amount of times Caleb Downs gets picked at 9 by the Chiefs makes me want to stab my eyes out. So
it's fair. Absolutely.
we'll clip this when it happens and be like, yeah,
Right.
March 22nd, Giants did something stupid and Caleb Downs fell to the Chiefs.
Moving to the number 4 spot, I have the Dolphins trading away Jaylen Waddle to the Broncos. Broncos receive Jaylen Waddle and a 4th-round pick, while the Dolphins receive a 1st, a 3rd, and a 4th-round pick, all from this next year's draft. They paid a premium to go get Waddle, who is, of course, a premium player. It's a steep price. On the surface, some people might say, I'm not sure if it's worth it. He caught 54 receptions on screen passes, ranked 13th among wide receivers since he entered into the league. For a guy who can shorten the field for screen passes, but also has the long speed and is always going to be on the field with a player like Cortland Sutton, I think is a level that takes the Broncos. It takes them to the next level. Because the speed that they do have on the team, they're not keeping on the field all the time, right? Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin, they're not keeping those guys on the field all the time. Jaylen Waddle, he's the same archetype as those guys. Short, but extends, but to a whole nother level that those guys have not reached. So, yes, again, paying a premium for this type of player, I think it lands you at that 4 spot.
I feel super weird about this one just because I hate it on the Miami side of the ball because you go out and you sign Malik Willis and it's just like, who's the dude throwing the football to now? So I do think it's a good move for the Broncos. I think
Spoiler.
Sorry. I do think that the Broncos probably had a decent shot at winning the Super Bowl this year if Bo Nix doesn't break his ankle. And
100%.
man, that is just going to be what could have been Super Bowl, the Seahawks Broncos rematch. Man, they should have made that the opening game of the season this year because, man, we all missed out on that. So, big move for the Broncos. Hate it for the Dolphins. And I shouldn't because they got all the draft capital in the world. It's clear that they don't see Malik Willis as like a franchise quarterback in the next 3 to 5 years, or they probably wouldn't have done this. Probably a transition quarterback.
They have
maybe
a
for
lot
the
of draft
next
capital, a ton
2
of draft
years,
capital.
potentially, not to spoil that. But it's just it's I'm sure I can't exactly remember when the timing of the trade versus the signing of the quarterback went, but I'm sure he was pretty excited to throw some passes and see that Waddle celebration in the end zone. And now it is not meant to be, but we'll probably get more Waddle celebrations with Bo Nix thrown to him. So I'll take that.
Absolutely, 100%. Moving to the number 3 spot, I mentioned that they'd have another spot on this list, and that is the 49ers acquiring Osa Odighizuwa from the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys receiving a third-round draft pick, while the 49ers obviously acquired the aforementioned Osa. 49ers have a massive pass rush need, especially on the interior, and you're getting a guy who he has 112 quarterback pressures, third most at the defensive tackle position since 2024, only behind Zach Allen and Chris Jones. Not sure if you've heard of either one of those guys. Pretty good. He's incredible. The contract isn't outrageous. And again, you need a guy whose specialty is pass rush on the interior. You can't ask for a better fit. And it sucks for me.
Yeah, the move seems questionable to me at best. Like obviously the defense was terrible last year for the Dallas Cowboys, and then you go and trade for Quinnen Williams, and you're just like, holy smokes! Like we got these 2 interior defensive linemen that collapse the pocket, like can make things life super easy, and then they go out and move one of them. Obviously the production of a player that's under contract and for the 49ers stays healthy. He plays a ton of snaps. Now,
100%.
if anyone has listened to this podcast before, they have heard me rant about how I'm tired of hearing about Nick Bosa pressures. I'm tired of hearing about Nick Bosa pressures. And now I'm going to sit here and talk a lot of positives about a guy who gets a lot of pressures and not a lot of sacks. But here's the thing. Pressures from the edge are completely different than pressures from up the middle. And if you watch football at all, you know that when
Different
your
impact.
interior defensive linemen are getting pressure on the quarterback, collapsing the pocket, blowing everything up, getting hands up in the passing zones, passing lanes, it's just massive, massive value for a third round pick because the 49ers like to draft kickers in the third round. So to go get a player like Osa for a third round pick is just excellent value. We get a ton of comp picks every year, so it's not like, and we made the playoffs last year, so it's not like a late second round, third round pick that we gave up, and ultimately this was a huge need and we weren't going to fill this need with a third round pick this year. And like I mentioned earlier, the window is closing. So at least on this group of talent.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing that, because I know you mentioned it's questionable at best for the Cowboys, and I would agree. The only thing I would say that could be, I guess, justifiable. So they're going to be switching to a 3-4 multiple front defense, which Dallas Cowboys have not played a 3-4 multiple front since DeMarcus. I think that's the last time that they have played a 3-4 multiple front defense.
Marcus Ware, bro.
It's
That
crazy.
dude was a
With
baller.
4-3 for such a long time. So switching to this, you have Kenny in the middle, Quinnen on the outside, and then also on the outside in terms of the nose tackles and the 2 defensive end spots. I think maybe the concern was Osa's not going to play every snap. He's going to play, second and third downs primarily, and they want someone who's going to be closer to an every down player. But I think the quality is just there, and then they want to make sure that they have that third round pick because we go from pick 1 or first round pick to nothing until the 4th. So getting something a little bit earlier, I know, was really important to them. So again, a lot of overcrowding is the potential for the Dallas Cowboys, but that's the best justification I can think of. It sucks because Osa has really come into his own the last couple of years. I remember seeing him live a couple of years ago. I think it was 2 years ago, opening day, and he looked awesome. And he looked better. He looked stronger. He looked huge. We thought he was an offensive tackle, actually, when he was warming up on the field. But he's really coming to his own the last couple of years. He earned that contract, and now he's going to be with the 49ers, which, again, sucks, but it's a perfect fit for you guys.
The 49ers, their best years as a defense a couple years ago were when they could get into their NASCAR package, and they brought a D Ford onto the field to rush the
Right.
passer. And I had this vision this year of Nick Bosa's back. We got our first round pick from last year, Michael Williams. He sets the edge in the run game really, really well. And then he kicks inside as an interior pass rusher. And then you bring Bryce Huff off the bench to rush the passer. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Bryce Huff retires, obviously. And so we're going to have to, we're going to have to try to find one of these joker jack of all trades edge rushers in the draft to kind of complete out this defense. So being able to solidify Osa at that position is going to be super important. That way we can take a flyer on like a Caden Curry from Ohio State as an edge rusher that can come off and rush the passer, on third and long passing downs. So I think it could be a huge impact for us. Obviously, we made it to the playoffs last year on the back of a schedule, just like the Patriots. That was one of the worst in the league, and we were able to beat up on the bad teams and win some games and bank them for when we played our tougher opponents and didn't win. So hopefully a return to dominance is in store for our defense with a trade like this.
Hopefully not. But moving to number 2, my number 2 offseason acquisition is the Rams acquiring Trent McDuffie from the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs and getting rid of corners, and the Rams and saying fuck those picks are like the 2 greatest combinations in the NFL, and they just did it together. Again, Rams receive cornerback Trent McDuffie, and the Chiefs receive the 2026 first-round pick, 29th overall, 2026 fifth-round pick, 2026 sixth-round pick, and a 2027 third-round pick. A lot of compensation. How do you feel about this move? One, obviously, you have seen the Chiefs in the Super Bowl more than anyone else. And 2, you have to see the Rams twice a year. And the Rams just acquired another corner in the free agent market as well. So how do you feel about the entire thing?
I mean, we dealt with Jalen Ramsey. It's kind of the same idea. Trent McDuffie signing, and you're just like, all right, well, you know what? It's all right because we got McCaffrey, we got a Kittle with a freaking torn Achilles. We can attack this defense a couple different ways. And then, did you not say his name because you're going to bring him up later? Jaylen Watson. Okay, cool. They bring in Jaylen Watson, another corner who
It was the other corner I was talking about.
Also a Kansas City Chief, right? Who's played more than 500 snaps every year of his career. And it's just, again, I liked what they paid him. They paid him a lot of money. 3 years, $51 million is a lot of money. But it's one of those fringe signings that good teams do. So,
bringing premium talent to a team that is also on the twilight of a lot of players' careers, obviously at their quarterback and their wide receiver position.
Well, and I mean, Trent McDuffie didn't have the world's best season last year, but also they didn't have the world's best defensive talent last year.
I believe he played a lot outside too, instead of his normal slot corner position. So,
right, and ultimately the talent doesn't evaporate, right? Especially at how young he is. So
yeah,
he gets in the right scheme, and he's going to be just fine. So, I mean, my recap on that is I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And again, this is why I brought up the Seattle Seahawks earlier and how much talent they lost and the moves that the 49ers have made, the moves that the Rams have made. Obviously, the Cardinals, they're just useless. They don't do anything. But it's going to be another year where the division is going to be completely up for grabs, even with the defending Super Bowl champions in it. No guarantee the Seahawks are going to take it this year, especially hoping Sam Darnold turns back into a pumpkin and I don't have to deal with that nonsense anymore. So.
It is probably between the NFC West and the AFC West, the 2 most competitive divisions in football right now, bar none. I don't think it's really even close. You just talked about how wide open a lot of things feel. Those ones are wide open, but in a way that is just ultra competitive. Yes, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, unlike the South divisions where it's a subpar amount of talent in there, and they're all kind of fighting for mediocrity instead. Absolute polar opposites.
We're going to have different number ones.
But yeah, probably. You want to say yours first?
No, because it's going to tie into yours, so we could go with yours.
Kyler Murray signing with the Vikings. I think that's the best signing.
Do you really?
I do.
Wow.
Minnesota won 9 games off of J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz, and Max Brosmer. Kyler
Hasn't been
Murray's better than
good
all those
in a
guys.
couple of years, bro.
Huh?
Kyler hasn't been good in a couple of years.
I still think they're better than those guys.
And I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, and I mean, obviously, relax. He's not Justin Jefferson. I get it. But man, you just hate the Trey Hendrickson signing, huh? You put him on the bad list.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Because of the situation that happened, yeah, I did. I did put him on the bad list.
We can go back to Kyler in a second, but the best acquisition this entire offseason was the Raiders getting Max Crosby. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Because they went and signed up
I like
all
that.
that talent, and then they added Max Crosby back to that defense, and it doesn't look like they're gonna move him. Looks like they're gonna keep him. So I expect the Raiders defense to be decent this year. Now, I'm not throwing top 10 out there, but it's been a laughing stock for a number of years. So I expect them to be pretty decent. I think they're going to look back on that thing falling apart. And to be honest with you, shout out to the Ravens. Like, they were giving away all them picks, and like Max Crosby's career high in pressures came in like 2021, I think. Like, he's still a good player, but all those 2 first-round picks for Max Crosby, I don't know about that. So to get Trey Hendrickson instead, honestly, I think it's going to work out for both sides, but I don't want to spoil the naughty list too much. And you know how I feel about Kyler Murray? That dude invokes fear in me, unlike, anyone else except not named Patrick Mahomes. So I hope it works out for them. It's been quite a while since he's been good.
It's a starting quarterback on $1.3 million. And again, you're winning 9 games off of poor quarterback play from a combined 3 dumpster fire players. I think that because of that situation, the Bears are probably going to be even better next year. I'm not sure where the Lions sit. That's going to be another discussion we can have for another time. And the Packers, I think, are probably going to be around the same area. I think that the NFC North is also going to be highly competitive. If Kyler Murray can even get to half of what he was, I think this team can win 10, 11 games. Yeah, how good that defense is.
Well, then can I throw in another honorable mention if we're taking into consideration the contract here?
Yeah, absolutely.
In 2022 and 2023, with overall grades of 81.9 and 86.9, the Atlanta Falcons signing Tua for $1
I also
million
thought that was cool. Yep.
is
Absolutely.
a hell of a signing. Hell of a signing for $1 million. That dude has had good seasons in the NFL. You can't ask for much better as a backup quarterback when you have Michael Penix, who's still a question mark. Kirk Cousins isn't on the team anymore. And the nice thing is when Michael Penix goes out with an injury, you have to change the offense all the way around for Kirk Cousins. You don't have to do this with 2 like Vince. I'm not even talking about the left-handed nature of the passer. I'm just saying, for $1 million to have a starting caliber quarterback as your backup, hell of a signing there.
And even if they don't touch the field, because those quarterbacks who happen to be from the same draft class, Penix and McCarthy, if they don't touch the field because those 2 younger quarterbacks are playing better, a lot of it is going to be because of the veteran presence that they are bringing in and the competitive nature and what they teach those young guys. If they take a next step, it's because of those guys who signed. Regardless if they touch the field or not, they are probably the 2 best signings you could see in the league right now.
I mean, Tua is going to show Penix what it means to be professional and come to work every day with the right mindset. And Kyler Murray is going to show J.J. McCarthy how to be ranked top 100 in Call of Duty. So it's going to be a win-win for both sides, for sure.
As soon as you were done, and Kyler Murray's gonna, I was like, this is gonna be some bullshit.
Sorry, I can't help myself.